All right, I just got done with a 50-mile ride, as you can see here. This is my setup that I've been kind of running on and off with other bikes, and kind of just threw it onto my road bike right here. There's a lot to kind of look at right now, so I kind of quickie this thing. So I got my Verb 360 with the charging mounted wired into the back. Got the battery pack right here. I just, threw it up here. In here, it's a drone. Got my remote right there. Kind of surprised a few folks today when I busted out today. Let's see. My usual setup that I showed in other video held up pretty good. Let me unplug it actually. It's kind of banging against the door of the car. And this is a new light I got. Night Rider 200. Left it on the same setting all day. My rider was about 4 hours, so still running pretty strong. And as you can see, it's an E-tap setup. I know in my other video, maybe a few people were commenting, I don't know. But I had first threw it on my gravel bike, same crank. Okay, this is the same crank setup, GXP, with the Stages power meter on this side. I gotta change the battery actually, but just to kind of recap, because I don't think I really explained anything into detail. The day I installed it, I had an 1140 on my gravel bike XTR cassette, and yes, I do notice, and I think I did admit that it was a little loose on the halfway down to the 11 tooth. For that, I would say, because I've been using RoadLink, Wolf Tooth RoadLink since the beginning. The Wolf Tooth RoadLink connects right here, and it gives you an extra range. But then the con to that is it just messes up the angle of the derailleur. So that's what caused that slack that you can't really fight that. I can adjust the chain and all that, or get a new chain, but at that time I just made it for what it was. But getting to the main point, I put this onto the road. I did a local ride flat all the way to about almost 3,000 feet elevation. With this setup, it's currently running a 10-speed Saran Wrap cassette. It's like a 11 through 28, I think. It's more than enough, honestly. This is like overkill for a road. When I shifted to the 22 ring, there's no looseness or anything. I don't want to go through the chain, but you just gotta take my word for it. It's more improved than the first time when I threw it on the gravel bike. When I was riding it, I noticed on the steepest section, like 11% gradient to 13. I was mainly like in this ring to this ring. So I wasn't really like at the 28 tooth, because this thing is just so small. It's kind of overkill. I know in one of my other old videos, this is a 4822. I had a 4628 setup, and that one I rode 100 miles, $1 million mile. I think that one was perfect. 4628 is actually what I would prefer to run on a road setup. This one I could feel, I can proudly say it's done everything. 50 miles of testing. Today was kind of like a test day. I met my crew, and they dropped me, but I was kind of there just to kind of test all these gears, and it makes the bike super heavy. So, and plus, like, this thing was like kind of hitting my thighs and stuff, and had like some other fitness issues. But other than that, it did pretty good. And to kind of recap it, the 4822 setup is overkill for road, and I mean, I can still like run it, but preferably I have my 4628. I can just throw that one on instead. It's much, it just goes better with this 11 to 28. 10 or 11 speed doesn't matter. I have the cassette, but of course I didn't really have time to swap it out with my other bike, so I just closed off the gearing and did my little hack. And yeah, other than that, hopefully, I mean, I think the other commenter or someone said that it was like loose or something. Like, it's like, yeah, I know it's loose. I mean, I could have perfected it and then post the video, but I just wanted to kind of show that it works. And even though it was loose, it still worked, you know? In this case, the chain is probably a little bit too long. This chain's already cut short length already, but if I were to focus on this one, I could make the chain like 1 or 2 length shorter and it'll be perfect. But other than that, it's because when you're on the 28 and then on the 22, sorry, and the 11, then the derailleur is like kind of like rubbing against like that lower pulleys. The chain's gonna be rubbing against this upper pulley. But if you take off a link or two, it should gap it out perfect. But I would much rather rely on the 46-28 setup. And this is more like a gravel setup. And today was kind of like, you know, a lot of riders out there, surprisingly. So it was one of the good and bad days to test out new gears that I'm not familiar with. But overall, you know, it did the 50-mile ride, came back, and yeah, that should be it. So